Hey guys, welcome back to Crafts Go Bloom. My name is Krista and today we are going to be making my no-sew dog pattern. Now in this video I decided to make a pink one. You can use whatever color you want. I've also made some Bernat tie-dye-ish, and these are some different Bernat Ogo colors. I was trying to make one that looked like my beagle. Pick out your colors and let's get to work. For the main body color of this dog, I'm going to be using Baby Blanket Sparkle, and the color name is Rose Glow Sparkle. I have a lot of little girl customers who love to buy my cat pattern in pinks and purples and things like that, so I wanted to test out and see if they also liked the puppy pattern in those same colors. And for the nose of my dog, I'm using Bernat Blanket in the color Almond. Some other supplies that we're going to need are a stitch marker, a tapestry needle. I'm using 12mm safety eyes today. If you are intending this toy to go to a younger child, I would not use safety eyes. I would make 6 or 8 single crochets into a magic ring, and then I would stitch that on as the eye so that you would end up with like a black circle and then stitch around that. And 12mm is just the size that I'm choosing to use today because that's what fits the style of my project, but you may want to go up or down size depending on the yarn that you're using. Same thing with the hook here. You may want to go up or down size depending on what yarn you're using. I'm using a Bernat Blanket, so I'm going to be using my 6.5K hook. And I've got a sharp pair of scissors. Guys, I always forget to tell you because it's not up here on the table. I have a 25-pound box of stuffing. It's polyfill sitting off to the side of the camera. It is just too loud and too big to have on the table. So you're also going to need stuffing. The first thing we're going to do for this pattern is to make the ears. Now they are crocheted on, so you don't have to do any sewing, but this brown dog is a great example where I made the 2 ears in this darker brown color, and then I cut them and pulled the tails through, and then I had 2 separate pieces that I then added to the light brown dog. So the first thing we're going to be doing is making 2 of these ears. So we're going to start with a slip knot for the ears. And I'm going to show you how to make one, but you'll need to stop and make the second one as well. And we want to leave a good tail on this. Don't make it crazy long, but also don't try to make it as short as possible. We are going to crochet over the ear, but we're going to use that tail to sew these ears back out of the dog's face, and we want that to just blend right in with the color of the ear. So if you want to make these in 2 different colors, you can, or I'm going to be making this one entirely in pink. How this pattern will work for the ears and the entire dog, I will have the pattern pop up on the screen up here, and at any point in time, if you need to, just go ahead and hit that pause button and work through whatever we're working through in the pattern, and then just play the video and meet me back up again whenever you're done with it. So for row 1 of the ears, we're going to chain 2. We're going to skip the first stitch next to the hook, and we're going to increase into the second chain. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn. So the rest of the body is going to be worked in rounds like a typical amigurumi, but we're going to work these back and forth. For row 2, we're going to increase in the first stitch, then single crochet 1 and turn. Row 3, we're going to increase and single crochet 2 and turn. For row 4, we're going to single crochet 4. Now for row 5, we're going to start single crocheting around the outside. So we're going to start in the stitch that we just made, and we're going to single crochet 3. We're going to increase next. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in one spot. We're going to have a single crochet and then another increase. And I'm going to be crocheting over that tail because I want that to stick out down on the other side. And then we're going to single crochet 3 more to get us back down to the bottom there. And 3 is going to go all the way down there. we're going to chain one to finish off and then leave a slightly long tail, like I said, that we're going to use to sew the ear down later. And we have our first ear, and this is going to be the side that we crochet over, and then this is how we're going to sew them down later on. So pause here, make another ear, and come back. Now that I have both ears finished, we're going to set those to the side and go ahead and start working on the main body. To start off the main body, we're going to use a magic ring and single crochet 6 into it. And to make a magic ring, I lay the yarn across my hand and grab it with my thumb, wrap it around 3 fingers and pinch, wrap it around the back of my hand and grab with my pinky. And I'm going to take my yarn and go under the first loop and grab that second loop and then twist it. Then I'm going to grab the yarn from my pinky and pull that through. And we've got our magic ring. And if you need to, if you've never made one of those, just go ahead and pause this video and go back and watch that again. So, like I said, we're going to do 6 single crochets inside this magic ring. And if you've never done that, you're just going to insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. So we've got 2. We're going to grab that tail and pull it tight. Don't pull too tight, you can break your yarn if you're not careful. And we're going to insert our stitch marker, and we are done with round 1. Moving on to round 2, we're going to do an increase in all 6 stitches around for a total of 12 stitches at the end. And an increase is just doing 2 single crochets into the same stitch. For round 3, we're going to do an increase in the first stitch and then a single crochet in the next stitch. So we've got 1, 2, and then 3, and we're going to repeat that pattern around 6 times for a total of 18 stitches. For round 4, we're going to increase and then do 2 single crochets 6 times for a total of 24 stitches. So we've got 1, 2 single crochets in the first space, and then 2 on their own. And we're going to repeat that, and I will finish this round and meet you back here. Now it's time to move on to round 5, and we're going to start by single crocheting 8. Okay, now that we have those 8 single crochets done, it's time to attach our ears. So next we're going to single crochet the next 5 stitches over top of this ear. And when you look at it at first, it's going to look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. But we actually want, if you do that, you're going to end up with this little corner sticking out over here. So we want to go all the way over here to 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 5. And then this will just look like a rounded corner. So ignore that first area there. So we've got our 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So you're going to insert your hook through the ear, then find the stitch that you're going into in the body, just the next stitch, yarn over and pull it through all of that and finish your single crochet. And we're going to do the same thing. Go through the ear first, find the next stitch in the main body, and single crochet. And then do 3 more to finish that out. And then when we're done with that last one, hold those tails inside of the body. We want to keep them out of our way, but save them for later. And then we're going to do 4 single crochets. So same thing for the next ear. We've got one way over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're going to do one more single crochet. And for the last stitch in this round, we're going to go in the back loops. So if you're not sure how to do that, you're going to insert your hook and see that you have 2 loops here on your hook that make up your regular stitch. So pull your hook out and just go in the back loop and do a single crochet. For round 6, you're going to single crochet 23 in the back loops only. And then when you get around to this last stitch that you've already done in the back loops, you're going to go ahead and do just a regular single crochet. I'm coming up on my last stitch in this round, and like I mentioned, we're going to pull that stitch marker out and we're going to go back into the regular loops for that last single crochet. We're going to take a break now and work on sewing those ears down. So I'm going to pull out my working yarn pretty far so that I don't accidentally undo anything, and just keep that out of the way. And we're going to work with all of this mess and cleaning it up a little bit. So it doesn't matter which ear you choose first. Go ahead, pick one, and look at the 2 tails that you have. We're going to leave the shorter one and grab the longer one and get that on your tapestry needle. Okay, we've got our ear with those 5 stitches, and our yarn is coming out right here. We're going to move over about a stitch and go up behind this ear. Pull that yarn through. And we're going to grab through the main, there's kind of like a main stitch here with a couple of holes. We're going to go through the ear like this. And we're not going to get too much happening while we only have one side done. We're going to turn it, go across. If you don't want to turn it, you don't have to. You can go back down. I just find it's a little more comfortable to turn it and go back through those same stitches just on the other side, and then go back inside of the dog. And then we're going to pull that super tight. And we've got our ear sewn down. So we're going to pull that to the back, take off our tapestry needle, and we're going to use those 2 tails to tie these together very tightly. Now for other parts of my project here, I'm not going to pull that first knot tight, but for this one I want to, because I'm trying to keep that ear in place. And so we're going to tie that a few times. And if you'd like to cut these a little bit shorter, you can, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave mine. And let's get that second ear tied down, and we're going to follow the exact same instructions. So if you need to see them again, just go ahead and rewind and watch the same thing for the other side. Getting back to round 7, I'm going to pull my working yarn tight again, making sure that it's actually my working yarn we're pulling on. These long tails don't bother me. I'm just going to keep pulling them down and out of the way, but you could cut them, or if you don't want to cut them, you could always grab like a bobby pin or something and just kind of like pin them in there out of your way, and then take that out when you're finished. So for round 7, we're going to single crochet 1, and then we're going to do a bobble stitch. And for a bobble stitch, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, pull up the yarn, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And you're going to do that 4 times. And then once you have done it 4 times, you're going to have 5 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over and pull through all 5 of those. And then we're going to single crochet 3. And then another bobble stitch. And then we're going to single crochet 18 to finish out the round. For rounds 8 and 9, we're just going to single crochet 24 around. So go ahead and single crochet 24 around for round 8, and then do the same thing again for round 9, and I'll meet you back here with instructions for round 10. For round 10, we're going to start by single crocheting 3, and then we're going to make a bobble stitch to make our back feet. However, I can already tell if I single crocheted 3, I would end up way over here and then a bobble stitch here. So that's not going to work for me. My tension was probably just a little too tight somewhere in here, or too loose, and it's moved my stitches around. So I am only going to, I'm going to line this up here. I want my bobble stitches here. 1, 2, 3. Oh, let's put it there. So I'm only going to single crochet 2 right now, but the pattern says that we're supposed to single crochet 3. And this is a great example of what you should do if you are not getting your feet lined up. It's more important that your feet line up and you have 24 stitches at the end of the round. That's what we're going for, than getting those 3 single crochets in there. And then in between the bobbles, you're going to single crochet 3. Let's see what that looks like. So I've got my bobble and 3, and then another bobble, and I think that'll look great. So after those 3 single crochets, do another bobble for your second foot. And now that I've got all 4 of them done, I think they're lining up nicely. So once you have all 4 done, the pattern says to single crochet 18 to get back around to the beginning of the round. But I'm going to have to single crochet 19 because I took 1 stitch out here, so I'm going to add it in over there, and everything will work out just fine. For round 11, we're just going to single crochet 24 for a total of 24 stitches, and I'll meet you back here. Now that we finished round 11, we're going to pull out that working yarn again, and we're going to add the eyes and sew on the nose. Now for my previous example, I just used regular black eyes and I made a brown nose, trying to make it, for my previous example, I just used black eyes and I used pretty simple brown nose for this one. I'll set him right there. But for this one, I have been having success at my markets selling, I think I mentioned this before, but for the pink dog that I'm making today, like I mentioned before, I've had great success in selling a lot of cats at my markets in these very glittery, girly colors, and so I wanted to see what would happen. Okay guys, a couple of updates. I had a technical difficulty where my memory card was completely full and stopped recording, so you missed the end of me putting in the safety eyes, and that's not something that I can just tear out and redo. And you missed me sewing on the nose. Now, When I compare this to the brown version, you can tell that I made my dog pattern, but I will absolutely admit it's looking like a pig to me. But you never really know until you try. Also, I do have an unreleased pig pattern that will eventually be a tutorial, and it does look different than this. So we're just going to keep going on this pink dog, and it's okay. For this nose, I just sewed one stitch here, like one line up and down, and then I did 4 or 5 across until I was happy with the look of that. And we're going to get back to the regular pattern. For round 12, we're going to do an invisible decrease and then 2 single crochets. And the way you do an invisible decrease is by putting your hook in the front loops only of the next 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through, and then just finish off a single crochet. And then so we did 1 invisible decrease, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets. And you're going to repeat that pattern around 6 times for a total of 18 stitches. For round 13, we're going to do 1 invisible decrease and then 1 single crochet. And we're going to go back and forth like that, 1 invisible decrease, 1 single crochet. And we're going to repeat that around 6 times for a total of 12 stitches at the end, and then I will meet you back here. Up next, I'm going to pull out that working yarn again, and it is time for stuffing. Okay, now we have it stuffed, and it's starting to look a little bit more like a dog to me. Either way, I'm okay with it. Maybe I should have tried a light purple instead of a light pink. I've made this plenty of other times in browns and blacks and grays and tans and things, and it turns out fine. So if I have just one pink dog, I'm okay with that. Now for round 14, we're going to do invisible decrease slip stitches. So for an invisible decrease slip stitch, we're going to insert our hook just like a regular invisible decrease. We're going to yarn over though and pull it through all 3 loops on the hook. We're going to do this 5 times. Can't tell which one I just went through. Oh, that didn't. It was fine. Oh, it was. Now, normally when I would end a pattern like this, I would actually go around 6 times to complete the round, but we're just trying to get back up to the top of this pattern. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull out my stitch marker because we are done with it and it's just kind of in the way. And for round 15 for the tail, we are going to single crochet 4. And starting in the second chain from the hook, we are going to single crochet 3. So we've got 1, we're going back up the tail here, 2 and 3. And then we're going to slip stitch 1 time to attach. Then I'm going to chain 1 just to finish that off and cut off a tail that we can weave in. So we're going to pull out that yarn. But we still have this hole, and this is where you could still add more stuffing if needed. But if you are done with the stuffing, we're going to go ahead and attach our tapestry needle. And we're going to weave through the front loops only of all of these stitches, and then we're going to pull that tight, and it's going to close everything up. And that pretty much closes everything up, and then I like to go under the tail and pull that tight too. So that's really going to close up everything. And then I'm going to go out here and I'm going to weave through some single crochets from one of these wider rounds. And when I pull my yarn through, I need to be careful not to pull too tightly. I just want to hide that yarn in there. Nice and easy. If you pull too tight, it will be noticeable and the back end of your project is going to look kind of silly. Okay, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to cut that off. Pull out that little bit of yarn that's always hanging there. And that is everything. We went ahead and finished off this cute little dog pattern. So there we go. We've got our little group of dogs there. I really hope that you enjoyed this pattern. Even though we had a few technical difficulties, let me know in the comments what color you used for your dog. And I will see you in the next tutorial. Bye guys!